We got Jonathan Jones, if you're joining us for the first time this morning, a treat to have him in here. We got the owners' meetings, and a lot of these conversations have happened, one of which was playoff reseeding. I want you to talk me through the playoff reseeding, the complaints that happened through the course of last year's playoffs. And a lot of people say, well, we didn't play the right team, and how it's going to look moving forward.
All right. So as we know what the current playoff seeding is, right? You win your division, you get a home playoff game. And for years and years, owners, coaches, players have always loved that, right? The owners love it because you have a 1 in 4 chance at the start of every year to host a playoff game. That means more money, more revenue, all of those things. That means something, right? Coaches love it because they can go to their guys and say, hey, our goals this season, what is it? Number 1,
win the division.
Win the division. And why do you want to win the division? Because that means that you're in the playoffs and you're hosting a home playoff game, right? Okay. And players love it because, well, that's what they've heard their entire careers. So I hear the division has to mean something, and everyone says it because they've always said it. But then you have to inspect that. Okay, win your division and you make the playoffs. That means something. But why does that grant you a home playoff game? Well, because it always has. Well, that's not good enough.
Not all divisions are created equally.
Not all divisions are created. And look, a lot of people are going to point to like when an 8-9 Buccaneers team gets in or something like that, and then they host a really solid team. I believe that this proposal, which is to say you make the playoffs, but it is seeded based off your record. I would argue it is less about that, and it is far more about having more competitive football down the stretch. How many week 16, 17, 18 games do we watch that are dogs?
Yep.
Right? That are backup quarterbacks, that are teams that are tanking.
It's draft status,
right?
Essentially.
And so, but these are division games. Shouldn't they matter?
Yep.
Right? Shouldn't Jalen Hurts be out there playing and not Tanner McKee? Like all of these, it happens everywhere, no matter if you're at the top of the standings or at the bottom of the standings. And so if you make it to where these games, Philly and Washington at the end or Atlanta, Carolina actually matters more, I would argue that makes the divisions matter more because now you get more intense division games at the end of the season. We backload the schedule. And so and then lastly, and here's why the owners will ultimately pass this, I believe, whether it's this year or next year or the next. Better games in the close of the regular season means higher ratings, means more ad dollars, means more money in everybody's pockets.
So what is the change exactly?
It will be just essentially
free for all.
I mean, whatever your record is, that dictates where you
got it.
1, 2, 3, 4 down.
Last year, the NFC Vikings proposed this. It would have been Lions 1, Vikings 2, Eagles 3, Commanders 4, Packers 5, and then I believe Rams 6.
So what you would have had here, we all remember the Sunday Night Football game where it was Lions Vikings.
Yep.
And there was so much on the line, right? It was the division. It was the 1 seed. The loser would go to the 5 seed, right? And so if you change this, for example, you still get an amazing game because you have Lions and Vikings going for the 1 seed to get the first round bye. And the loser, well, you don't go to the 5th seed and go on the road. You get the number 2 seed.
Yep.
How you just played a 17-game season, Kyle. Like that matters. 17 games matters, not 6 division games.
Body of work, not the 6.
Not the 6. And my last point to that is when we had 16 games, 6 division games mattered. Now, literally, statistically, check my math on this, but 6 out of 16 is more than 6 out of 17. So now division games literally matter less.
Yes.
So why do we keep acting like winning division should grant you this postseason nirvana?
This is great for football. I mean, it really is. And if you feel like there is a lull in the season, this should be the thing that can come in and kind of pick you up where you feel let down as a football fan. And to your point, you want to see these superstars out there every week, and these games should matter. And for the Vikings, they shouldn't go 1-5. You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't feel real to me. Mike, what do you think about this?
Every day we stray farther from God's light. To me, we changed it too much too quick right here. We already changed the format to 7 teams, which I hated. 6 was perfect. 6 and 16 games was about as perfectly sort of symmetric a playoff format as exists in
and the 2 buys.
Yes,
that was
the 2 buys. It was like that was as perfect and symmetric as it exists in like any sport. And then we screwed it up with 7. Now we're going to just do it be a free for all for you still get the auto entry if you win your division. But if you win your division in the bad division, when it's like, what was that year? The Seahawks went 7-9.
Right.
They're the last seed, but they had the Saints at home and they won that game when they came in the playoffs 7-9.
You never know.
I think it still adds something. And again, I am of the opinion that I think it's a quite fair argument to just say we've done it forever and keep it that way.
Yeah,
I think that is in of itself a valid argument, because the NFL and football is a very tradition-based game. So I am opposed.
We've always done it this way, so let's keep doing it that way.
Well, non-traditional as of late has been the length of the season. We've seen it increase to 17 games. When I was first playing, it was 16 games. And now I have 18 games on my paper, my little piece of iPhone paper right here. So 18 games. And you know what? It doesn't come to us as a surprise to me, because when we're discussing these franchise tag dollars, when we're discussing what a middle linebacker is making now, it's clear to me that the dollars and cents are so high now that they're trying to find a way to get the most out of this. And the back in my day kind of guy says 18 games, so what, 25 million a year? Like, let's go make 25 million a year as one of the better guards in football.
Sure.
Make play 18 games and then the playoffs and get out of Dodge and live on the water.
So how about this? If you get an 18th game, you're making $25 million a year as a guard with 17 games.
Yep.
18 games means there's going to be more money.
It's going to be $29 million.
And they're going to pay you for playing that extra game.
Do they adjust contracts? Did they, when they went from 16, 17, adjust contracts just as a pure multiplier?
So that's up to agents and that's up to teams.
Oh, so they didn't adjust any previous contract?
I mean, again,
but it's just
not
in the
a
future.
standard
It's all future contracts.
Right. Now that would have to get figured out, because some teams did some, hey, you're getting paid because you get game checks, right?
Yep.
So are you getting paid 1/16th? You're getting paid 1/17th. Like that had to get worked out. And some teams do it one way, others do it others. Smart agents work that in early on. Others did not.
Yeah.
So consult with your agent on that. 18 games is going to happen. It was talked about at the league meetings almost as a fait accompli. Like it will happen at some point. It's not going to happen in 2025. It's not going to happen in 2026. As early as I could see it happening is 27. And so what are you going to do? You're going to take away a preseason game. So it's called internally 18-2, right? It's going to be 2 preseason games, 18 regular season games. Maybe you start the season Labor Day weekend. You add in a second bye. When you get 18 games, it's going to let you get 16 international games. The NFL is going to be able to package those 16 games and sell it to a broadcast partner. So that's more money. That's $1 billion, $2 billion right there. Okay. You're going to get the second bye that's going to allow you to do those international games. And then the Super Bowl gets pushed back to President's Day weekend. Super Bowl becomes a national holiday. There you go.
So as a player, if I was still playing right now, my question would be, well, what does that do for training camp? What does that do for OTAs? What does it do for mini camp?
That's a great question.
Are these things all going to still be mandatory obligations that you have to partake in? And is it going to be the same length as we've had in years past? You talk about 2 preseason games starting Labor Day weekend. What does that mean for training camp?
So that's a fantastic question. So when the union and the league talk, I want players to understand that getting a second bye, that's not a concession the league's giving you. That is a non-negotiable. You want another game, you got to give us a bye.
Yep.
You got to give our bodies a break, right? It is not a concession to say, well, we'll pay you for the other game. Of course you're going to pay me. I don't work for free.
Yep.
Okay, so that's not a concession. So some of the voluntary workouts, that has been a huge thing for the union. They want to probably get rid of those. What does training camp look like? Does it start a little bit earlier, maybe, but you don't do any of the spring work? Veterans want that. Is that better for the rookies and the young guys coming in? All those questions have to get figured out in the rank and file, right? And then lastly, revenue split. Right now, players get about 48.8% of the big pie. Okay, you want us to play another game? Give us another percentage point. Let's get it closer to 50-50. Like, all of those things are going to be on the table. How much the union ultimately gets, we'll see. But everybody knows it's going to happen.
Well, regardless of who gets what and how, I know one guy who's going to be getting some money, regardless of what happens. His name is Deshaun Watson.
Can I give my take on 18 games first?
Yeah.
Because
sorry.
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate 18 games.
Well, we know that.
I thought you wanted more football.
That to me is the most disingenuous argument. Everyone brings that up, and especially with college football playoff and like how it's gone. Everyone's like, "Oh, you hate more games?" It's like, yeah, I hate more games when they're meaningless. Think about right now with 3 preseason games, how bad the product was week 1 of this NFL season compared to at the end, right?
You're right.
And it's because these guys don't have the same time to prepare. And so if we're down to 2 preseason games, think about what week 1, 2 are going to look
first
like.
quarter of the season.
You are basically having 2 games of the season that you're obviously excited. Everyone's going to watch. The number's going to be there, but it's not going to be great football. And then with 18 games, your playoffs, we said we want good games down the stretch. How many guys are going to be on IR by the time the playoffs come around? It's just, a fact of life. When you add, 2 out of 16 games, 1/8 more games in a season versus where we're at 4 years ago, it's just going to have an eighth more guys hurt, right? On your roster. So I want to see the best players playing at their best in the playoffs on the best teams. Like you want to see that. I don't need 2 more games of regular season play because every single one diminishes it. Think about how little people care about the NBA regular season.
Yep.
If the NBA regular season was 12 games, you would care about every single game.
Yep.
You'd be locked in. That was the beauty of the NFL. The more and more we try to bite out of this apple, you're going to make more money in the short term, but I think you do risk losing people long term.
With what I said and my, old man yelling at cloud opinion on it's like you're making so much money, you may as well just do it, just like bite the bullet. What Mike said is right. And there's a lot of truth to that. And I can attest to how difficult it is to make through a season, even 16 games, let alone 18 games and the playoffs. Yeah. If you're winning, you get to go play in the playoffs too.
Oh, and you're saying a guard making $25 million a year. It's like, do they need $35 million a year? Does that guard need 30? Like
Kyle, I think you're the person to answer that.
Obviously, we're not like, yes, you want more money, but to the average fan, I'm saying at home, being like, these guys want more money than what they're making right now.
I think it's hard. It's hard for. I totally understand why that would turn people off. And when I hear business executives, or I go, I go meet with my financial advisor, and I listen to some of the people that they urge me to listen to, whether it be in a book or a podcast or a TED
Instagram reel.
It's like, holy shit! Like, why would they want any more money? They pulled up in a Rolls Royce. They live in Miami Beach. Blah 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 blah. At the end of the day, what people at home will never be able to relate to is the feeling of going out there day in, day out, regardless of how much you love the game of football and putting your body through that. It really takes its toll on you. And as the science continues to develop and we find out more about what happens after football, I'll stand on the table and say these guys should get $50 million to play guard.
Not debating that, but you're also adding, again, like you just mentioned, the toll it takes on you. 18th game is going to take a toll. Like
100%, but you dangle that carrot. If it's big enough in front of my face, I'll run till my legs don't work anymore.
Yeah, and that's the athlete perspective and the mindset. And also it goes back to your earlier question about, yes, can the body hold up through all of those games, right? It's a fair and fine question. So how do you ramp up for that week 1, week 2? They're going to have to change the IR rules, right? You're going to have to allow more guys to come back. You're going to have a longer season, so you may be able to come back a little bit earlier than usual.
Yes.